Hello, everyone. This is Straw Hat Leah here for another edition of Whatcha Makin Wednesdays. This week's stream is going to be a little bit on the shorter side today because we are going to be doing, well, some 3D printing and a walkthrough at that. So we won't really be doing any hands-on stuff per se for this stream. So gonna kind of keep it short and sweet and also kind of conserve some energy for Friday's stream coming up, which I'm really excited about. Made it past the really difficult boss battle in Final Fantasy VII Rebirth last Friday unexpectedly. And yeah, I'm excited to start chapter 3. And so yeah, tune in for that if you're available this Friday. But yeah, let's jump into Wednesday and what are we making today? So my hope is to get started on the 3D print of Seiko Ayase's baseball bat as part of our cosplay build for her. So I'm going to share my screen and kind of walk you guys through how I go about 3D printing props for my particular printer. Again, I have to preface this, I think, with this is only a walkthrough of my particular printer and how I go about setting it up. I cannot attest to any other printers because I have not owned any other printers. I was very fortunate to receive the printer that I did receive as a Christmas gift this past year. Um, so yeah, I'm afraid I am not a well-versed girly on different types of printers and how their setups are. If it is similar to my printer, great. I hope you find this knowledge useful. But if it doesn't fit at all, I warned you. I warned you. All right, so let's dive in. Share my window. Okay, so this is the the user software that well, it doesn't come with my printer. I had to go to the manufacturer's website, of course, and download it to my computer. But I should start with what kind of printer I have. I have a Bambu Handy P1S, I believe. Um, I believe the P1S is like the series that they have of printers, and and that's the one that I have. So this is the software that you download from Bambu's website, and it's pretty, I don't know, pretty robust. It seemed like it had a lot out the gate to offer in terms of online models to choose from. So what I do like about Bamboo, and at least their software, at least, is that they have a lot of online models already uh, kind of integrated in, uh, and they are. I wouldn't say they're all. Mm, I gotta be careful how I say this. I don't want to say they're already formatted for each particular printer series that Bamboo makes, because I've definitely downloaded some uh, like templates or stencil files that I did have to tweak a little bit in terms of like dimensions and stuff for my particular printer and nozzle and filament that I was using that may not have matched what the creator of the stencil file had in mind or used when they made the file. So, but I would say that is uh, I don't know. It's most of the way there. If I have to tweak it a little bit, a few millimeters here and there, I don't really mind. Um, But yeah, they have a lot of cool. I was just surprised at the variety of things that that you could 3D print, like making drums and vases. I kind of knew about like the articulated figurines and stuff from what I've seen from like Renfest and stuff, with like those cool dragons that you can magnetically clip onto your garb and stuff. Um, so I've, you know, been aware of the capabilities of somewhat of what 3D printing can do, but definitely getting one of my own and exploring a bit of like the online models that Bambu Handy kind of makes available through their software, uh, kind of, yeah, really opened up my eyes to what 3D printers can do, and what I could do with them creatively. So that was very fun. Um, yeah, so let's see. So basically, going about this particular print for Seiko's build, I looked for well, Dandadan, or at least a baseball bat type print. So fortunately, I can just search here at the top um, um, for really anything that I would want to print. But yeah, if I wanted to print a baseball bat, they've got, I hope, yeah, pretty good variety. And then, you just kind of pick and choose what you need and what works for your particular situation or desire. Um, Definitely, yeah, definitely loving that this is a resource. Um, so yeah, so fortunately, I was able to find specifically a stencil or uh, print file of specifically Seiko's bat, and kind of wanted to walk you guys through how I go about that. So finding it online, basically just downloading it onto my computer, um, and saving it, and then we'll come into like the prepare tab here and kind of get it ready. So if this is your very first time like using their software, then of course you would have to input all of your your printer information. Which printer do you particularly have? Make sure that's selected. If you have a specific plate, which is, well, what you're printing on, make sure that's listed here. Um, and yeah, and the nozzle is where the plastic comes out of. Um, and want to make sure that whatever size nozzle you have, because you can change them out to fit whatever your particular need is. Want to make sure that matches. And I don't think the flow ever changes. I think it's always standard. Let's see. So the filament that I am using specifically is just PLA Basic. I usually do it in like a beige um, or a nude color, something very, very light that I can easily paint over. I very rarely will print anything the color that I want it to be. Um, I don't know. I like to have more control over the final color and texture and shading and all that. I guess I'm too artsy for that stuff. I don't know. But I like to just have a blank canvas to add my colors to for whatever I'm printing personally. Um, but with that being said, if you're not artsy fartsy like me, and do just want to be able to print in all kinds of colors, uh, their Bamboo has a great selection of filament colors, that obviously already work with their printers. But yeah, if you have other manufacturers that you like instead, I think you just have to make sure that the the thickness is like compatible, I think. But I believe you can also swap. Like, you don't have to just use Bambu's brand of filament. I believe you can use others as well, as long as it is able to, like, go through the nozzle and be melted down like any other filament. I don't think that's an issue. You might just need to adjust the settings a bit for your particular printer. So wanted to switch it to the particular filament that I'm using. Bambu, which I love, their software kind of automatically will adjust the presets of the stencil file to match um, the particular filament. So, for instance, PLA Basic, I believe, might have a different like thickness or diameter than generic PLA, and so that would affect a little bit of the layering of the print as the plastic kind of stacks on top of each other as the print gets bigger and bigger. So want to accommodate for that. Instead of me having to figure out all that math, Bambu does it for me, which I love because I'm not a numbers girly. I will admit that freely. Um, so yeah, I'm just gonna say, yeah, go ahead, use your modified value, and then just making sure that this looks good and would successfully print. I see that they have the stencil separated on two plates, which basically just means this whole plate would print in its entirety first. Uh, it would obviously pause so that I would come in, clear all that stuff off of it to make room for plate number 2, and it would just automatically start. I think once it was able to detect that I had cleared the plate from the first part. Now, I know my printer fairly well at this point from the number of and variety of things I have printed since Christmas. um, and I know for a fact that this first plate right here is not going to print successfully. There is no chance that my printer is going to be able to print all of these tall cylindrical beams essentially without knocking one of them over and then toppling over like a set of bowling pins. So it's, yeah, I'm going to separate each of these to their own individual plate and then just print them one part at a time. So I just feel more confident in going about the print that way. It will probably take longer to print, but I mean it's only time. It'll still be the same amount of plastic, which is the only monetary value here. So it's just the cost of the plastic. So, but yeah, little brief overview of the stencil itself, though, before I break it into parts. So Seiko's bat is a pretty normal baseball bat, with the exception of, I believe it was episode 1 or 2, where she turns it into a giant pencil to write a sutra in order to fight Turbo Granny. And so wanted to have that flexibility of, having it be both, having it be a baseball bat and a pencil interchangeably. So fortunately, this stencil already came with that same thought in mind. So this designer decided to add at the top part of the bat inserts for magnets. So ideally, the top pencil part here and just the normal baseball bat top lid would also have magnets in their bases as well, or the bottoms as well, and can attach and be removed, throughout the day or throughout a con, throughout a shoot, whenever I would end up wearing this, wearing this cosplay. But yeah, but it looks like they've got a good, yeah, all of the pieces are there. Um, and then they have a bit drilled out right here in the center for some type of metal support or beam, to give it, a little bit more sturdiness. So I'll probably put like like a threaded bolt or something of some sort, through these center pieces here. Probably to attach it to each other, which would also help with travel too, because if I needed to pack this away in like a suitcase or anything, to be able to just like twist it apart and screw it on and off and back together again. Um, yeah, that would make it really travel friendly. So yeah, I think that. Sorry, as I'm talking it out, I'm thinking that. Yeah, I think that's probably the most likely idea that I'm going to do. But okay, yeah, let's separate these into separate plates, and hopefully we can get the first plate printing and kind of call that a happy Wednesday. But let's see. So we are going to start with this. I want to, don't want to delete a plate. All right, I'm going to come up to the top here, hit add, and add, and add, and add. I'm imagining it'll probably take at least 6. I'm not really going to care too much about the particular order, just as long as they're on a separate plate. I'll kind of worry about putting the puzzle pieces together once they're done printing. Now, this particular stencil file has a lovely option choice, to have the baseball handle or the bat handle. You can have it printed with the kind of the threading already kind of wrapped around it. Or you can choose to have it just printed smooth, and then you can choose to maybe wrap actual fabric around it. Personally, for my print, I'm going to do the one that looks already wrapped, but I am still also going to put wrapping on it anyway. I'm just really going to kind of use the markings to help guide my glue pretty much, and kind of give me an idea of where the wrapping should lie as I put actual fabric around it. But that's me. But I like that they had the option there. That was very thoughtful of them. But I'm just going to go and delete that, so I don't need to print that part. And then I want to move this part also to its own area because it's also very tall. All right, these pieces, like the pommel and everything, and this top part of the baseball bat, I'm probably going to continue to leave that on this plate, like, and have them print together, just because I don't think they're very tall, like too tall to the point where I think they're gonna knock into each other, or like I don't think it'll knock into each other at all, hopefully. But I do maybe want to space them a little bit further apart. So also, fun thing, the software also allows you to auto orient multiple pieces on your plates. So it'll kind of help space them out in an appropriate way to still allow, to allow for less bumping into each other, and your pieces peeling up off of the plate, which is the most common thing that happens to me. Is I can't get my prints to stick to the plate as they're printing, for various reasons. It could be humidity, it could be the plate hasn't been cleaned, even though I scrub it with isopropyl alcohol like before and after every single print, just because it won't stick otherwise. So that is to say, 3D printers are finicky. They are not going to be perfect out of the box or ever. But, have patience with them and definitely get to know your particular printer, know what works best for your particular printer, and just go into each print knowing that you're going to have to make adjustments. It is a godsend if you have a day where a print just goes off flawlessly on a first run, or you've been printing long enough and you know your printer well enough that you just already know how it's gonna be acting up, and so you already make the adjustments beforehand. What was I saying? Auto orientation, yes. So it will auto orient the pieces for you, so it'll prevent as best as it can pieces from bumping into each other or the nozzle accidentally hitting any of your pieces as they're printing out. So yeah, gonna do that now. Looks like it's already good. Oh, okay, better. Perfect. So basically it just shifted them over slightly and gave a bit more breathing room between these three pieces, which feels a lot better. So which one should we print first? Part of me wants to do the pencil top first. I guess you know what? Yeah, let's start from the top and work our way down. So might as well start with the pencil, the most iconic part of the whole prop. So let's do. So okay. So let's see. We're gonna do plate 3 as our first print. So I am going to just make sure it's nice and centered, and then make sure the print process looks okay. So basically, what I try to do is I try to find a system preset that kind of best matches my use case scenario. So for instance, if I am printing something that I want to look like highly detailed, or like especially smooth, like I don't want, like, I want it to print as fine a quality as this printer is possibly capable of, and that would be one of these two settings right here: extra fine or high quality. I'd say on a daily, even with like my cosplay props, I very rarely go past standard. I've used the extra strength ones a few times to make like coat hooks, like things I'm hanging things off of, like things I need to be physically stronger to hold weight or something. But aside from that use case scenario, the standard has been plenty. I don't do any of the drafts because those would just be way too brittle, which is fine because it uses less plastic, but is no kind of sturdy. So I don't really do those at all. But if you don't have a lot of confidence in your printer or are just starting out with 3D printing, I would advise you to use this so that way you can save a bit of plastic until you get good at reading your printer, understanding your printer, and just tweaking your settings accordingly. Once you have that down and you're comfortable, then yeah, I would go back, or I would go up to standard or high quality or anything else. But out the gate, save yourself a little bit of filament money as best you can. But yeah, so I'm gonna just leave this at the standard, and well, let me change it a little bit. So if I did want to change it to, like, let's say I want to just make it a stronger bat, um, it would change the presets. If anything, like, it would change the layer height. It would change the line width of the, like, the filament going back and forth. I guess try to imagine as much as a traditional ink printer as best you can, but just imagine plastic instead of ink. It's, in my mind, a very similar process. But so yeah, basically you're just changing, like, kind of like your margins and stuff, but but with plastic, and then you can change, of course, how strong it is by, like, how many walls you have in between each of the little loops and stuff. It's a whole thing. Um, way more in depth and technical than my knowledge allows me. One of the big things, though, to look out for is whether or not your print needs supports. So if you are printing something that is vertical or has any kind of, like, overhangs, you're probably going to need to print it with supports, just so that as you're printing it, it doesn't get too top heavy or something and topple over and then ruin your print. And that's not, that's not fun. And so, again, I'm not familiar with other printers, but I know Bambu Handy already has their software kind of has built-in supports enabled into it, that auto-generate, um, based on whatever your stencil is, and it'll just kind of auto contour to that shape, and just keep it supported and held up. My only it's a mild complaint, but I hesitate to complain because it's done so much heavy lifting for me with my prop making. I'm always hesitant to say anything bad about it. But I will say and actually this is probably user error, so this probably isn't even Bambu's fault. But I will say I do have difficulty removing the supports a lot of times from my prints. And it does require I'd say a good bit of sanding afterwards to kind of, like, buff out that spot where the support was attached to my piece. I feel like, and I'm pretty sure there is a setting in here that I just haven't seen or explored, or I just don't. It's looking at me right in the face, and I just don't understand that that's what the title is. To fix that, to adjust that, I also have bought or purchased special filament that is just for supports. It is supposed to, like, not even, like, adhere to PLA at all, to kind of prevent the exact issue that I'm talking about. But it is a good bit pricier than regular PLA, and it also adds a good amount of time. That's my only other thing. I don't know. I'm an impatient person, so I prefer the print to be done printing quicker than to spend the extra time sanding the supports off or something. Like, I think I'm learning a lot about my time management as I go as I go through this, and it's not that great. I could probably have some room for improvement. But anyway, tangent. Whew. Let me stay on track. All right, so I don't think this is going to need a support, only because the base is fairly flat and it doesn't look like, I don't think it's going to be very top heavy. I don't know. I just don't get the feeling that gravity is going to want to push this over as it prints. So let's see. So when you feel like your print is ready to, to head to the printers, what you'll do next is slice your plate. And basically what it's going to do is going to start kind of breaking down layer by layer how to do your print, and then tell you how long it'll take and how much filament they estimate it'll use. And then yeah, you have the option to go ahead and print it or make adjustments as needed to either cut down on the filament or cut down on the time. Usually my go-to is if it's going to take longer than, I don't know, 10, 12 hours, I'm not printing with supports usually. Like very rarely will I have the patience to last that long. But oh, lovely. Okay. A solid 7 hours, which that's okay. That's at least overnight. I'll take that, because then I can just start it, and then when I wake up the next morning, it's all done. All right, so just to give a little overview what all these different colors mean. So basically, this is kind of giving you a little bit of a breakdown of how the printer is going to go about doing the print. And so it's got different color codes. I don't know if this will show up well on camera, but hopefully it will. But it's got different colors showing the inner wall, the outer wall, the infill that builds up the structure, the strength of the whole piece, but the pencil tip at this point. And then kind of how much filament and time is going to be used on each of those particular parts. So it gets very detailed. If you need that, I don't really imagine needing all that information unless there was your prints failing at a particular spot, and maybe you want to figure out where that is and make adjustments. So yeah, I love that they have that option. So yeah, the total prep time is going to take roughly 6 minutes. Model print time should be roughly 7 hours total. Filament is going to take roughly 164 grams just for the top portion. But yeah, let's get this one started printing at least, and so that can go overnight, and then maybe we can slice some of these other plates to get an idea of how long those are going to print too, and go from there. Maybe we'll figure out what the grand total of the entire bat will be. Let's see. And okay, well, yes, so the name of my 3D printer is of course the Thousand Sunny, since I am Straw Hat Leah. I totally forgot that's what I named it until I just okay, wow. But it is what it is. But okay, so this is basically just confirming where I am sending the print job to, that this is the correct printer, this is the correct plate, this is the correct filament that I want to use, and I can also swap it at this point here as well. I don't have to still keep to what I had in the original preparation section of our software. I can still change it here if I really want to. So yeah, but I'm going to keep it as the basic PLA, the basic beige. Oh, but this one is a wood one. I have a fun wood grain one. This is the support PLA, and then this one is a fun glow-in-the-dark PLA. So many options you can have for your 3D prints. But let me go ahead and just send. and it'll prepare the print job and send it through, cloud or Ethernet or whatever it is, other tech words, uh, to start printing. But so yes, so that'll automatically open up our device window, and hopefully can get a little preview of the process as it starts printing. So this window here will open up, my hope is the live camera feed inside of the printer. And then we can take a look and watch as the nozzle prepares itself to get ready to print. But let's see what else we have. So yeah, so we have controls here on the side for our printer. Oh, and I hear the printer is starting up. I can see a little window here that will tell me roughly how much filament I have left on any given roll. Though a pop-up window will also come up if I do start to, if the filament does start to get low, or I start to run out, or have run out completely and just need to add in a whole new roll. I do also have the option to, if I wanted to like take this wood grain one out, I could also put in a second, like same beige, basic filament in this one as well, and then link these two so it would like auto refill. So like when this one eventually runs out, like yeah, I could set it to like auto refill here, and it will just automatically swap in the next spool and start taking from that automatically. But yeah, but right now I've got like 4 different kinds, so wouldn't work in this instance. So when this one runs all the way out, I do have 3 or 4 more rolls of basic beige that just came the other day, was finally delivered the other day. And so yeah, when that finally runs out, I'll add in the new one. All right, so yeah, so we are seeing, okay, so now the heat bed is starting to preheat, as well as starting to load in the filament. Okay, so while that's preheating, we're going to come back to this page, and we're going to slice all of the other plates to get an idea of how long each one's going to take. Hello there, chatter. Welcome. Doing some 3D printing. But thanks for being here. We're just about, I'd say we've still got a few more minutes left in this stream. But kind of walked through how I go about setting up my 3D prints for prop printing, or prop making, I guess, for my cosplays. And so I've got one print kind of preheating in the printer already, Kind of waiting for the filament to heat up so it can get through the extruder and everything properly. But in the meantime, while we're waiting for that to preheat, I am slicing the other plates with the different parts of the, well, sorry, putting a baseball bat, by the way. So each of the different parts of the baseball bats are broken up into separate plates. So now we're slicing each individual plate within our software to figure out how much filament is it going to take to print each individual part, and how long. And make adjustments if it's too long or too much filament. I don't think it's going to be too much filament, especially because I already bought like a bunch of like bulk refills of just a basic beige PLA, like nothing fancy or anything like that. Let's pop back over to the device and see how that's going. Okay, so it looks like we've got it preheated. Now it's just doing auto leveling. Very cool. Alright, so basically, yeah, just making sure everything is nice and flat and at an even surface before it gets started on the print. I don't want any lopsided pencils. Or pencil baseball bat. I don't even know what to call this. Call this prop. Part pencil, part baseball bat. Typical anime. Alright, so that's still gonna continue then. I don't know why it's taking forever to slice. There we go. Alright, so it looks like the handle is not going to take very long. Oh, there goes the printer. Okay. It's loud, but gets the job done. Alright, so not a lot of filament for the handle, which is good. Around 100 grams. Print time, only 4 hours. I probably should have started with that one. This one's going to take like 7. Alright, this top part is only going to take like 3 hours. And that's like the bottom part too, the handle and the top. Let's see, how long will this piece take? Yeah, and that's less than 100 grams of filament. Oy vey, that's gonna take forever. Good lord. Yeah, that's the... Damn, that is like the main part of the baseball bat too. That's no wonder it's gonna take the longest. Okay. Cosplay that I've done recently that I'm really proud of. That I'm really proud of. Probably the Neopets Fairy one that I introduced during my debut Twitch stream. Wore that to Comic-Con this past March. And yeah, I was really proud of that one. 3D printed some of that as well. 3D printed the fairy ears that I wore. Not fairy printed. Ha! 3D printed the top that I wore. 3D printed the like little basket of fruits that I carried with me as well. I was an island fairy that was known for her special cooking skills. But yeah, I did a lot of 3D printing for that and was very excited to kind of show that off, and it was my first group cosplay because we did the all of the fairies from the Neopet universe. Um, yeah, it was a fun time. It was a fun time. Um, really excited about this Dandadan cosplay also. First time ever making a wig for it. So I'm always excited to try new things. Even if I mess it up royally, I still value trying something I haven't done before as opposed to doing the same thing over and over again 20 times. I guess I'm a glutton for punishment. um, but okay, let me kind of try and wrap this up. Okay, so this one, that's just going to, I don't know much else to get around the amount of time and the amount of filament that this particular piece is going to need. Um, yeah, that's just is what it is. That's just going to be a long print. That's just going to be a long print. Oh well. I know, I love overcoming the challenge. That's what keeps it, I guess that's what keeps me coming back to cosplay. Especially is taking on a new challenge every single time. Um, I think that's also why I eventually transitioned out of like just traditional costuming. Because I started my cosplay journey just like traditional sewing. Like I could make a corset from scratch. I can make a Renaissance brocade, filigree, beautiful ball gown. Um, you know, cut out the pattern and everything and sew it together. Uh, I've been doing that since I was like 10, like 8, 10 years old, and I love it, and everything, but doing that repeatedly over and over for years just kind of got old hat. Um, but then I kind of got a renewed sense of love for costuming and cosplay by building props, and so I'm grateful that it kind of kept me in it, but just in a different lane. Um, but yeah, who knows? I'll probably pivot in a few years from prop making to something completely different, but but probably still in the vein of cosplay. But um, yeah, maybe you'll see me do electronics next. Who knows? Who knows? Wouldn't shy away from it. Wouldn't shy away from learning it at least. But yeah, so it's looking like on average, each one of these pieces, with the exception of I guess the main base of the baseball bat is, looks like on average each part or each plate is going to take at least 8 hours. So yeah, this was 7, this was 4, 3 hours. And this one's slicing now, and it'll tell us how much and how long it'll take. Oh, let's check on the print that's going right now, see how that's going. Oh, there it is. There's the first 2 layers, I think, of the pencil top. All right, so you can start to see. I wish I could adjust this camera to like be more on top. It is what it is though. But yeah, you can see they already got the openings, the holes lined up already where you can put the magnets in. And then the looks like, yeah, the threaded center part there where I'll attach it to the rest of the bat, rest of the base. So yeah, so that's 6 hours and 54 minutes left out of a 7-hour, 7-minute print. But no, that'll be exciting. be fun little time lapse to watch also as it gets bigger and bigger and bigger and taller. Then suddenly starts to look like something. Starts to look like whatever you were printing. So yeah, so that's basically what it does. This nozzle here at the top will just keep laying filament around and around in a circle, layer by layer. If you see kind of here at the bottom, it'll even tell you how many layers are in each particular print. So this print has 1,967 layers, and right now it is doing layer 4. So it's gonna be a while. Let's see. Let's see. Checking on chat. OG, I feel like if I had a 3D printer, I would just sit beside it all all night. I don't resist the urge. Fortunately, there is also an app. So I have this app on my phone. I have this app on my tablet. I can pull it up when I am on the go and watch my prints when I'm not even in the house. Like, so I could be at work somewhere and I can be watching my prints at home. Yeah, I really like that. So I find it very therapeutic. It's kind of like my own personal ASMR. Um, but yeah. I too enjoy just the kind of rhythmic, hypnotic swaying of the of the filaments back and forth. But yeah, so this is the start. We're yeah, starting the pencil part of our baseball bat, and we're just gonna kind of let the printer do its thing and go ahead. Um, how do I want to go about updating with this? So, brainstorming. So I do want to definitely do a stream where I'm assembling the bat for sure, once all of the pieces are printed. With the number of pieces and the amount of time each piece takes to print, my hope is that each print will be completed in time for next Wednesday's stream. And then we can spend that stream assembling the bat pieces, adding the magnets. Hopefully I can get the magnets here in time for next week's stream as well. I imagine I can. Because I can just probably make a run to the hardware store. I imagine I can hopefully find some that are the right diameter for this particular prop. I believe it's a pretty standard 7 millimeters. I'll double check that, of course, but yeah. So I think I will plan for that tentatively for next Wednesday. If not, for whatever reason, if one of the prints messes up and needs more time or something of that nature, then next Wednesday will be more wig assembly. I have spent the majority of this week creating more wefts out of the yarn. I went out and bought more yarn this past week at Michael's. I'm just stockpiling it at Michael's at this point. All of the white yarn, just to make sure I have enough to get this wig done. But yeah, that's the intention, is to either do bat assembly or more wig assembly. But yeah, Well, I thought this was going to be a short stream, but apparently I just can't stop yapping, and it took the whole hour anyway. But you know what? I guess that's a good problem to have. I won't complain too much. But anyway, I want to thank you all uh, uh, for being here and watching through my 3D printing walkthrough. Uh, Especially big shout out to RR Max in the chat for asking such wonderful, thoughtful questions about cosplay, uh, and just for tuning in. Just kind of appreciate fellow fellow cosplay nerds who like to geek out about the same things that I do. So, um, and yes, I am heartbroken about the closing of Joanne's. Um, yeah, I feel like I gotta have a moment of silence for the closing of Joanne's, just because man, I legit learned so much about. I'd say I learned how to sew um, from my grandmother, but I would say I learned how to costume. I learned garment assembly from Joann's, like the store Joann's, like going there and talking to the ladies at the fabric cutting counter, uh, um, and learning about like different fabric textures, um, um, what it even means to cut against the bias. Like, what does that mean? Like all of this terminology and stuff, and how you're supposed to try and match the the patterns when you're putting together a garment, so the stripes on the sleeve aren't going one way, and then the and then the stripes on the lapel are going a different way. Like you want them to line up. Like I learned all of those, important tips and tricks from Joann's, and so even learning how to discern between fabrics, or how to shop for fabric. Um, yeah, I gotta give credit where credit is due. That is a big part of my cosplay journey that is now gone. And so yeah, rest in peace. Yeah, rest in peace, man. That's hard. That was a hard goodbye. I'm hoping that Michaels can fill the shoes that Joanne is leaving behind, but I mean, well, no, I've seen a few Michaels start to offer fabrics. That's the only thing. I shop at Michaels, and or have always shopped at Michaels as well as Joann's. But Michaels was where I went to for like craft stuff. If I need to do something for like a paint night, I'm going to Michaels probably. But anything cosplay or related, it was always to Joanne because they had fabrics. I am seeing a few Michaels in the wake of the closing of Joanne start to offer fabric. Um, but it seems like it is a very small selection, and it seems to be like mostly quilting fabric. I have yet to see like at my local Michaels anything like anything I would be using for a cosplay. Any type of fabrics that I would be using for cosplays there yet. Um, yeah, I hope they see the void in the market and kind of step in and fill that, or some other brand or entity steps in and fills that void. Because there's going to be a lot of sad cosplayers out there um, that can shop online, but would much rather prefer to have the fabric in their hands before they purchase it. Just saying. But anyway, I have gabbed enough for the night. I am again, thank you all for being here and watching, and vibing out with me and all things cosplay and 3D printing. Um, But yeah, I will be back this coming Friday, starting Chapter 3 in Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Um, Same time, 7 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. And yeah, very excited to dive back into that. Um, kind of see where the narrative goes from there. But yeah, hope you guys enjoy the rest of your Wednesday. Um, Actually, let me switch to the full screen. Happy Wednesday. Thank you so much for being here. And if you're able to come back on Friday, would love to have you. If not, you can also check out my YouTube, Still Straw Hat Leah. I post all of my VODs from these streams, all of my cosplay streams. They're on there as well. My video game streams are there as well. Um, and I started doing some music reactions. Did my first reaction to Kendrick Lamar's Luther music video this past Friday. Um, Maybe kind of want to make that a little bit of a regular thing, um, if I can. But yeah, but either way, have a good night, y'all. See y'all.